If you've used Google Chrome this year, or any browser for that matter, you've probably seen, and subsequently ignored, a message like this. Well, I figured I might as well go over it before it's too late. In July of 2017, Adobe announced that they would be slowly phasing out their Flash Player due to open standards like HTML serving as more versatile alternatives, with the service being shut down altogether by the end of 2020. Now that that end date is quickly approaching, I thought it would be a good idea to look back at the life and times of Adobe Flash. Flash games were a big part of my childhood, as I know they were for millions of others, so they will be the focus of this video. Oh, and this video is going to be 100% pure nostalgia, specifically for me, but certainly for a lot of others as well, so be prepared for probably at least one spontaneous flashback to like 2010 or something. A lot of the earliest games I played on the computer were games based on properties I already knew from watching TV. Some of the first memories I have of the computer are playing games with characters like Dora and Kim Possible, but once I really started getting into gaming, my go-tos were Lego and Cartoon Network. Oh, but they didn't look like this. They looked more like this. By the way, these captures are from the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine, which helped a lot in my planning for this video. Anyway, these two sites were responsible for devouring much of my free time, and probably more, in elementary and early middle school. And some of the games were pretty legit too. Some of my favorites were on Lego.com. Probably the best game Lego had to offer, and the game that was sure to be on at least one school library computer at any given time, was Mars Mission's Crystalian Conflict. Crystalian Conflict was a full-on RTS, certainly the first one I ever played, and it was really complex for a web game for kids. It had 2 different 10-level campaigns, plus bonus levels and quite a few cheat codes. I remember having to decode the cheats in an old issue of Lego magazine back in the day in order to be able to play the Santa level, which I'm pretty sure I've never beaten to this day. While looking for this game, I found out that there's actually still a fairly active community around it, which I'll link to in case anyone's interested. Another big part of Flash games were online MMOs. Some of these don't actually run on Flash, but just go with me here. RuneScape is probably the first one that comes to mind, but that was a bit before my time. Instead, I was playing stuff like Poptropica. Poptropica was created by Jeff Kinney, aka the Diary of a Wimpy Kid guy, and is all about solving puzzles, mainly through talking to characters and trading items on different islands based on everything from time travel to superheroes to Greek mythology. I actually learned quite a bit from this game, the thing that comes to mind being the chicken, grain, fox puzzle that's in like every riddle book there is. Another MMO I played quite a bit was Club Penguin. This Disney-produced game was everywhere in the late 2000s, and was practically my primary form of communication with my friends in elementary school. The gameplay of Club Penguin consists mainly of mini-games which give players coins to buy things like clothes and furniture. There's quite a bit of variety to the mini-games, everything from fishing to surfing to making pizzas to this great tune. And then, after you get enough coins, you can decorate your igloo and have a party or whatever this is. Back on the subject of pizza, another major franchise in the Flash world for me was the Papa Louie series. The series started out with what could probably be best described as a Mario clone, but it really exploded once it moved away from the platforming genre. I'm of course talking about Papa's Pizzeria, a fun and, at times, incredibly stressful restaurant simulator. However, Flipline Studios, the series developer, didn't stop with pizza, as they went on to make 13 more Gamerias over the next decade. These include
Papa's Pizzeria, Papa's Burgeria, Papa's Taqueria, Papa's Freezeria, Papa's Pancakeria, Papa's Wingeria, Papa's Potatoria, Papa's Hotdoggeria, Papa's Cupcakeria, Papa's Pastaria, Papa's Donaria, Papa's Littleria, Papa's Cheeseria, Papa's Bakeria, Papa's Sushiria, Papa's Scooperia.
At least one of those was fake, but I doubt you can tell which ones. No matter which entry in the series you're playing, these games are super addicting, and before you know it, 3 hours will have passed and you'll find yourself on day like 34 in Papa's Cheeseria. When I was a lot younger, my parents wouldn't allow me to have a game console, so sometimes my introductions to video game characters were through Flash games. When my friends told me about Sonic the Hedgehog, I googled him and discovered Ultimate Sonic Flash, assuming it was the same game they were playing. It was, in fact, not. However, that doesn't mean Sonic Flash isn't good, because it's actually a pretty solid game, though it has its bugs. And even though I've played the original Sonic trilogy since, this is probably what first comes to my mind when I picture a Sonic game. My first time playing through Super Mario Bros. Was also through a fan game, Super Mario Crossover. I definitely knew who Mario was when I first played Mario Crossover, but I never played through those original levels. Crossover, as the title suggests, has the player going through the levels of SMB1, but as different characters like Link, Mega Man, and Bill from Contra. You can even change the sprites to different game characters like Cecil or Shadow from Final Fantasy. The controls and physics feel a bit weird at times, but the game is a neat way to play some familiar levels in a new way. Switching focus away from the games themselves, the sites that hosted Flash games are also worth talking about. The one I spent the most time on was probably Congregate. They still exist today and have published several mobile games, but I knew Congregate as the website where I played games like Platform Racer 2, Dino Run, and Fancy Pants. Whenever I had free time in school computer classes, the website of choice was always Cool Math Games. Most other gaming sites were blocked, but because this one had the word math in the title, it was okay. Contrary to what the teachers probably thought though, these games weren't usually about math, though many were puzzle or strategy heavy. The perennial favorite game on Cool Math was always the world's hardest game, a game which involved getting a blue square to a green square while avoiding red circles. Despite the simplicity of its visuals, World's Hardest Game is quite satisfyingly difficult, though I've probably seen harder in the years since. Another very influential website for Flash content was Newgrounds. The popularity of Newgrounds peaked a little bit before my time, but its impact has to be mentioned. In addition to games, Newgrounds also featured digital art and animations, and several famous artists in recent times got their start on Newgrounds. Creators like Aaron Egoraptor Hansen, Edmund McMillan, and the guys who started the game studio The Behemoth worked on Flash games on Newgrounds in their early days. Looking at creators like those previously mentioned, and many others, shows the impact Flash games still have today and into the future on the gaming industry. Even though those original games won't be available forever, that undefinable Flash game vibe lives on through their creators' later works. Games like Super Meat Boy or Pit People shows that same art style and humor, but aren't limited to a 480p box on your computer screen. Flash games will also live on through remasters and remakes. This year has already seen several re-releases of older Flash games, from the recently released Henry Stickmin collection on Steam to the upcoming remake of Alien Hominid. There's even a remaster of Frog Fractions if you wanted to play that. So, even though Flash as a program is dying, it doesn't mean that its spirit can't live on in the indie game scene and in the people who make the games we all played so many years ago. Anyway, this has been the story of Adobe Flash Player and its games, at least as I experienced it growing up. Let me know if you have similar memories of any of the games I covered, or any other Flash games that were important to you. Thanks for watching, and have a happy new year.